Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 455. This is a Yank on the Footy coming to you from Toasty, Sandusky, Ohio, joined by my mate, Myk Aussie. Myk, how are you doing today, sir?
Yeah, doing good, mate. And even though it rained at Gather Round, the crowds were up slightly. And with the petrol price, gas price down home, so good to see
Hmm.
the crowds are up. But the rain disappointing. But wow, what about that light show my friend Allison sent me, and then
That
I
was
sent you?
awesome.
That was pretty
That
spectacular,
really
wasn't it?
was. Yeah, I guess I'd have to ask, where do you think the devices were that were they up like on the roof of the stadium of the Oval that were projecting down on there that were doing that?
Oh, probably drones, mate. Drones are everywhere now,
You
especially in
think so?
Iran. They're
Well,
everywhere,
that's
aren't they?
that.
So
Well, yeah.
freaking drones.
Well, not as many as there used to be, but
Yeah.
but
Oh,
um,
and I saw Max Gorn. He was riding a horse up in the Barossa Valley and Clare and that. So, mate, maybe you need some tips from him when you go to Australia. If there's no petrol, no gas, you might be riding a horse in a few months, mate.
well, shit, I am deathly allergic to horses, so I'm gonna be putting another 82 kilometers a week on my shoes. Then, if that's the case, that's what I'll be hoofing it.
All right, you just
So,
be walking from
oh,
Pete's apartment to the MCG and to Geelong, right?
well, yep, I will be walking a lot. Yes, I have to get started for that trip to Geelong there. But you know, we're going to be talking about round six here in just a minute. You mentioned gather round. Were you pleased with the way, other than the weather, because the weather didn't seem to be terribly cooperative. Could it rained, I think, in pretty much almost every game this round. Every game got rain in it, I think, or almost every game in some facet or another. Were you satisfied
Yeah,
with?
look, I did just see the crowds were up slightly,
Hmm.
which is damn good news. And it looked like there was more people at those Adelaide Oval games between the non-South Australian teams. Like that
Hmm.
was impressive. The crowds there of some of the Melbourne-based teams, and I enjoyed watching the game at Lyndoch and at Norwood Oval. Just something different. So yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and the one thing I noticed watching the camera angles from Barossa Park and from the Norwood Oval, to me, the camera angle is so much lower. So I
Oh,
was
of
ch I
course.
was I was chalking it up to me. It was kind of prepping me for when I'm actually going to get to see games in person. That's it. In some cases, that's almost like the angle that I'd be seeing it from, depending upon where I'm sitting, as opposed to that much higher angle that you would see on television. So it was a nice little tutorial for me on that. But they did not reach a deal as of yet to bring the gather round back in 2027 to South Australia. And there's some people that are rumbling off to the sides that are saying maybe it's going to go somewhere else. Do they? I mean, could you? It's been very successful in South Australia. I think it's great that it stay there. It'd be. I do think that it'd be great to get some of the other clubs that are more proficient, because they sent, and I know they didn't have a lot of followers, but I think Sydney and Gold Coast played at Barossa, did they not? I think, or did they? Were they? No, they were at Norwood, weren't they?
Yes. No,
Yeah,
they're at Norwood.
yeah. So I mean, and it's not to begrudge Norwood or not, but and again, I guess you have to schedule ahead of time who's playing where. But I mean, you had some kind of clunker games that were going on at the Adelaide Oval that didn't involve Port or your Crows. So I mean, I don't know, just maybe give an opportunity for some people to see some of the better clubs that they might not have been able to see at some of the smaller facilities. So that's
Yeah,
just my
look,
thought
let's
on it.
be honest. This this is not me being South Australian. It's not going to work in any other city. You can't have it in Melbourne because they get nearly every game every weekend anyway. It's
Well,
not going to work. And I'll go straight into a bit of a beef I got. Damien Barrett from AFL, and he does all the Triple M radio.
hmm.
Like, what is he paid by the Victorian government? He's suggesting that the showdown between the Crows and the Papsmears be played at the MCG. I heard him say that 6 months ago on the sounding board with Hutchie, and I saw a clip where he was saying that again on the weekend. What, he wants 50,000 South Aussies to pay an extra $1,000+ a year to go and watch the game at the MCG. He's lost the plot on that one, mate. That is just one of the most stupidest effing things I've ever heard.
Okay. See, I mean, I saw that being talked about, but for some reason, I thought he was talking about bringing like a huge NRL like tournament to the MCG. That's what I thought he was referencing there. I completely missed the plot that it was the Crows and Port Adelaide he was talking about. That's a stupid idea. I mean, those.
He said it six. Like I said, he said it 6 months ago
Mhm.
with Hutchie on the sounding board. I'm like, have you lost the plot, mate? Like seriously. I mean, sure they might get 80, 90,000 there, but look at the money it's going to cost the South Australians to go
Yeah,
across.
yeah,
It's one of the most stupid things I've ever
yeah.
heard. How
I
about
just
we take the grand final away from your Victoria MCG every year, you bloody Victorian?
well, I want to kind of back away from going too deep into that myself because I'm hoping a few people might want to show me around there a little bit while I'm visiting. So I don't want to blow torch
Yeah,
too
no,
many bridges.
that's
But
just Damo.
no,
That's
yeah,
just stupid. I don't dislike him. I kind of like him, but that's just ridiculous.
well, it's
Anyway, that's one
provocative.
of my
It's
beefs this
provocative,
week.
but I because I was wondering. Are they somewhere in the back rooms talking? And I don't know this, but I heard some people mention this online that maybe they're gonna try for next year to kind of prime the pump for footy in Tasmania and send the gather round to go be played in Hobart and Launceston next year down in Tasmania. And again, I don't.
Oh,
I've only
better
heard that
not.
mentioned in a couple
It's
places. Nothing confirmed at all, nothing like that. But are they going to try to get the Devils off on the right foot by having the other 18 clubs come to their neck of the woods next year?
they wouldn't have the hotels. They wouldn't have the grounds. Nah, it's just negotiation. Come on, let's be
Okay,
honest. The
yeah,
AFL trying to squeeze SA government for more money. That really pisses me off. Stuff like that.
yeah. So I want
Let's
to.
move on. What's
Yeah,
the
I
next
want to.
topic?
No, I know. I wanted to.
I've got rid of most of my.
The stuff you're fired up
I got
about.
rid of most of my rage from the off season, but that's annoyed me.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you. We're going to jump ahead and use one of the slang terms right now. What is it that has you wanting to flog the cat right at this point in time? Which
To
which
flog the cat,
means
to flog your cats, your Geelong cats, and their stupid bloody headbands. There was another guy I spotted. I reckon you got a third guy with a little white thin headband. And Brad Close, cut your hair, mate. It got in his eyes yesterday. I watched the game. It got in his eyes and he kicked a point. Same with Blitzards the week before. They're brushing their hair back, then he kicks a point. What are they, mob of girls, mate? Sitting in front of the mirror, brushing their hair back. Come on, you're a
well,
Cats fan,
I
and you
know.
know there's now 5 headbands. They look ridiculous, and of course Smith in the little fancy pants. He's a good player, I'll admit that though.
Well, flogging a cat means to give away suppressed feelings of frustration by venting one's irritation on someone. So that's what it was.
Oh, well, I certainly did that.
Yeah,
On
I
your
know you did
Cats,
because I
your
know you
Geelong Cats.
because I know you are you sent me something the other day where you were frustrated about the free kick differential at this point in time, and I saw somebody else post the exact same thing that you did, and I wanted to run this by you because I'm looking at it from for after round 4. I couldn't find anything on round 5, but after round 4, the Cats had a differential of plus 44, St. Kilda plus 23, the Bulldogs plus 18, Richmond plus 10. Um, Pretty much everybody except for Carlton and Collingwood were on the positive side, and there wasn't a single club that's a non-Victorian club that had a net plus of free kicks, a surplus of free kicks for them. But here's what I wanted, because I know you were upset about that. But here's my question for you about this. Is a free kick, because I don't know how they're adjudicating these as far as the statistics, is a free kick still a free kick? Because remember, they changed the rules when a ball goes outside of the arcs, it's a free kick for the team that did not kick it out or did not push it out of bounds. So they get a
Yeah,
free kick in. So, yeah, my thinking was with the Cats having played 2 games down at Cardinia Park, which is significantly narrower, was that going to lead to more balls going out of bounds? And I don't have any stats to back this up, but I'm just asking this. I'm hypothesizing here. Did that put the ball out of bounds more outside of the 250-meter arcs to where there were more balls being kicked in? I don't know.
uh, I don't know, and I don't care. I just said it to you because it was so obvious that the Victorian teams,
Yeah.
including your Cats, favoured. And my dad's very fair, but he's been on that for years. He
Yeah.
just reckons it's ridiculous the number of free kicks that Crows don't get when they play in
Yeah.
Melbourne.
Yeah, because I asked that on on a post that I saw about that, and some folks had said, well, hadn't really thought about that part of it, because what is
Yeah.
is a free kick still really a free kick anymore? Because we're calling those kick-ins now a free kick still, but are they, do they really still fit that criteria though? So yeah, that's I just was wondering because I really wanted
Well,
to.
if you want to stick up for your cats, you go and research it more because I don't give a crap.
Well, hey, you know what? Hey, we finally we're on the plus side. We're 3-2 right now. Finally, we actually added a little bit of percentage. I'll tell you what, I was impressed. I've been impressed by the Eagles. I think I've watched them 4 times already this year, and if they keep that group together, that's going to be a pretty darn good club in a couple of years. It really is. It's a
Yeah, it was like the men versus the boys, though, wasn't it, really? And what were those stupid jerseys, Guernseys they were wearing? That's why I got my Burnaby Eagles jumper on
yeah.
now. This looks way more like a West Coast Eagles jumper. If you said to me last night, Mick, who are the Cats playing right now? And I would have said, I don't know. I
Hmm.
have no idea. And then you look very closely at their jumper and you can see maybe an eagle. That was
Yeah.
terrible. That
Yep.
was, and what's all this? Was it orange or red? Like, that's not their color. It looks stupid. It
I
was so bad. And then I'll give you a Cats credit. The traditional, nice jumpers of the Cats. Why change it up all the time? I don't like that.
Well, I think as you mentioned before, you're saying that the AFL is wanting to extract more dollars from South Australia. I think clubs are wanting to extract more dollars from their supporters by buying the jumpers for gather round and that sort of thing. I mean, you got
Yeah.
the Suns with the pink ones. I'll tell you what, I thought the Hawthorn ones were sharp, and I liked North Melbourne's. I thought, and you're going to hate to hear this, they were very simple, but I thought the Port Adelaide ones were really sharp also.
Oh,
I mean,
they
those
never
were.
look sharp, mate. They're just the pap smears. They're
I
just
know,
the
I know,
rotten wharfies, mate.
I know. So, looking at a couple of things that I saw online this week, and this was something I was shocked by this, and maybe this bodes well for me here in a few months. But did you see the Chris Fagan's press conference after the game against the Roos?
I did read what you sent me, and there was what, one person
One
there?
one reporter, one reporter, and this guy's won 2 premierships in a row. His club played in the one prior to that. He's odds on favorite to be back there again to do that same damn thing over again, and one friggin' reporter shows up for it.
Well, you better get there, and you better
I
have 10 questions ready for
I
whoever
don't.
you're going to interview, and
Yeah.
you get your own podcast just from the interview.
I,
Now, as a devil's advocate, maybe it's the AFL's own fault because the coaches and players don't really say much. So that's just me being devil's advocate there. But yeah, that's not good. One
yeah. I
reporter.
mean, it looked like a very lonely room. Yeah. And
Probably,
one.
hang on, they're in the Barossa Valley. They're probably on the red wine too early, all the
Well,
reporters.
yeah, because somebody had said that um that there were that there's so many more that so many more people who are in the media now that are former players and are not really journalists anymore. So do
Yeah.
and again I guess I'd have to really stop and think and go back and reflect. You see the Q&As that happen excuse me at the quarter break or at halftime or whatever, where they'll ask a question here or there, but there aren't really that's usually a former player that's doing it. Some of them are very good, but
Yeah.
some of them are they're works in progress. And again,
Yeah. Well,
I'm not saying I'm any good at asking questions, but um some people are.
look at how many true journalist jobs have disappeared because, and that's, we'll talk at the very end about the cricket, but um true journalism of reporting and so forth has gone by the wayside. Like Damien Barrett does it for AFL.com.au, of
Right,
course.
right.
The newspapers are gone. There's so much crap on the internet. It's all about clickbait. So that's probably why you're on your Code Sports and pay a little bit for that because it's true journalism.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I mean, I read I think I read everything footy related on there,
Wow.
and I start to delve in a little bit here and there on cricket. I've not gotten caught up on the IPL yet this year because I'll go back and I'll watch like the highlights of the games, like the half
Yep.
an hour highlight for each of the T20s there. But
Yep.
I saw somebody also mention, that, and I don't remember what specific game they were talking about, but they mentioned a specific official by their number, and I'm not going to say what number, but so the AFL, and I thought you'd appreciate this. The AFL officiating is worse than the scab NFL officials. So when the officials in the NFL had gone on strike,
Yeah.
and enforce the damn rules as written or get rid of them. Start with the ridiculous expansion of the stand rule. And again, official blank is a disgrace to the number, and it says sack this person's name. And again, I don't know this official. I don't know which game they were referring to, but it's this to me. This has to be arguably the toughest game to officiate. It really does because you're covering a shit ton of ground. There's 36 players out there. It's nonstop. It has to be to me officiating an NFL game. To be honest with you, has to be simplistic compared to officiating an AFL contest because
I'm gonna disagree.
you think so. Okay.
We might have our first big argument here. You ready? Listen, with the NFL, there is so many rules in the NFL. Like, I've been studying the NFL for 28 years, and
Right,
there
right.
is so many rules. Whereas in Aussie footy, I don't want to talk about myself, but I would umpire on my own on a full field in Ottawa because I'd rather do it on my own than with someone else that didn't know what they were doing. I had to watch the ball very, very closely and get in a great
Hmm.
position. Now, each real umpire in the AFL has to do that. You have to get in the best position to
Right, right,
see whether it's holding the ball or pushing them back. That's the real tricky part.
right,
Is it
right,
holding the ball? Is it pushing them back? Is it a fumble? Is it play on? That's the tricky part. Other than that, nah, nah. They should be better. And I see Butters was getting interviewed after the game because apparently he said something to the umpire and the umpires reported him and he said he didn't swear. He just asked a question. So,
yeah,
I shouldn't criticize them. I'll never criticize umpires that are paid $50 or whatever in the country. But these professional guys getting paid decent money, umpires should never be noticed. If you're not noticed, it means you've done a damn good job.
yep. That's kind of what when I have students that go into the military and they've gone, and they go to boot camp, and I always tell them, I said, that I'm not, first of all, I never tell them to join up because it's not my position to do that. If they have questions, I'll answer because I am a veteran. I'm a parent of a military member. But I always tell them, I said, when you're going through basic training boot camp, I said, if you're halfway through and your drill instructor has to come up and read your name on your shirt because they don't know who the hell you are, you're doing just fine
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you're not the person that's so outstanding that everybody else in the group is pissed off at you, and you're not the idiot that the group is pissed off because you're the idiot holding the rest of them back. So if
yeah,
you're in the middle, you're doing just fine there.
yeah.
So you ready to jump
What's
in on?
next? I got a couple of beefs. I still got a
Go
couple of
for it.
things that piss me off, but you're running the show. What's
No, go
next?
for it. Let's go. You got a cat to flog, man.
I'll flog your cats. I'll throw your cat out the car window.
You've already done
All
that.
right. What did make me laugh? What made me laugh was the week before the Bombers were playing the Bulldogs and they were 1-7 or whatever at half time. Zach Merritt's wife left and put a picture up of her having a wine at a fancy restaurant. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
That was like basically Bombers are shit. That was pretty funny. Here's one. This is Wokast Melbourne. So Gary Lyon apparently off air made a comment about, he said the minister of bullshit, right? Well,
I
is
heard that.
bullshit, that's not really a bad word to me. When did shit become a swear word? Only recently. Anyway, so he said that off air, then the Fox boss had to
Yeah,
apologize. Like,
I saw
how
that.
woke is that? And Hutchie and Damo, I like them, but they're 50, 60-year-old men that are too woke for my liking.
Well, is and again, I don't listen to Mr. Hutchinson's stuff very often, but is does he feel like he has to walk that tightrope because it's his money that's being put that is at stake?
Oh, absolutely. He's in
Okay.
big with the NFL, and good on him. He's very successful,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
though he didn't give me a job.
But you know what? You mentioned the
Well, he
you
loves the NFL. He's a big NFL guy. He goes to Super Bowl. I showed him all the stuff I'd done at the NFL, and he still didn't give me a job. Whatever.
yeah,
It doesn't matter. I
you
could care less about the Aussies sometimes.
you mentioned Zach Merritt's wife. Maybe her leaving to go get that glass of wine was just the inspiration that they needed to get a win this past week.
They're not that weak minded, are they? The Bombers.
I
I
don't
got
know.
one more for you. I got
They
one more
they got
for
the
you
win.
from that game as well. Apparently, Dwayne Russell, who I'm a Cat and Port Adelaide player, I like
Hmm.
him. Apparently, him and Matt Hill, the game was so boring. For the rest of the game, they kept talking about whether the Bombers could win after quarter time. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, you got to make the call on radio exciting, but that was just like ridiculous. Who
Yeah.
cares about
Yep.
if they win for the last three quarters? That made me laugh.
Yeah. It's yep. So we our tips this past week. I went 8-1. You went 7-2. We both missed on the D's. You missed on the Bulldogs. Um, so I
You
guess
should
you're
have
keeping.
mentioned that at the start of the show. I would have.
I know. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything like that. I mean, I'm again, it's not. Trust me, I'm significantly more modest than that. But you ready to jump in on the games for this week? Because we got some interesting ones this week. You're I'm going to be sledging on your Crows here in just a moment, but a little bit. But Thursday night we're back at the and you know the one I sent you the one thing, and I don't think the audio came through for it, but listening to the CEO of the Magpies talking about how the fixture is screwed up, and yeah, and and I'm thinking your club plays 15 of their games at your home ground, okay? Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, so yeah, I understand you have to a few of those games you actually have to wear the white shorts instead of the black shorts. No big friggin' deal as far as that goes. It's your home ground, okay? But and he may be very well right about that, but definitely the wrong messenger to be talking about how the fixture is screwed up. If the people in Brisbane maybe want to have a
No,
comment about it, they certainly could because we just got done playing our sixth game of the year this week, and I think Brisbane will be playing their second game at home in round 6. So yeah, go ahead, sir.
yeah, yeah. Look, we got to rip through these games
Yep.
because of time, but that was the CEO you're talking about, and I'll combine this with the game we're talking about, the dobbing, swooping bastard Magpies. The CEO is Craig Kelly. Now, when you interviewed John Klug, one of the questions I wanted you to ask him, but it didn't come up. John Klug, pinchy all game and just annoy the hell out of him.
Hmm.
Like he was a big, strong centre half back, came from Norwood, but he was saying on Triple M this. He says we're going to go and we're going to try and get more 22, 23, 24 year olds from teams like the leagues like the SANFL. And Angus Anderson made a great debut for the Dobbers, and
Hmm.
he was the Jack Oatey medalist in the SANFL Grand Final last year. A strong on baller, 22 years old. So there you go. Maybe they've been listening to us because we've been hounding on that
There you
for a
go.
couple of years now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He came in and had a good game, and Sean Manna had a struggling game. Yep. Okay, so first game
Yep.
this week, Carlton hosting the Magpies. Part of me wanted to tip Carlton in this one because they played halfway decent this past week, but I am going with the Magpies to win this one by 8. What are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, they're favoured by 13 and a half. I've got them to cover that. So I'll take them. Walsh and Cripps were their best players for the
Yeah.
Blues, but nah, Blues are way off, I think. Bit better, but yeah, I'll take those Dobbin swooping bastards to win at their home of the MCG.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we know we don't want them to, to feel lonely and miss home. Okay, Friday night you got the Cats hosting the Bulldogs. Ed Richards, it looks like it was his ankle rather than his knee. He had a pretty significant ankle sprain that took place. Don't know if Tim English is going to be out. Did you watch my little clip on the the Bulldogs game from this week. I thought if you of all people would have appreciated it. I said even though he didn't play, that was the worst performance by the English at the Adelaide Oval since mid-December.
No, I didn't, but you're right. You know what? I nearly changed my pick to the Hawks, but I thought it was going to be a one goal game, so I
Yeah.
didn't change it. So, yeah, you beat me this week.
Yep.
Well done. Oh, look, the Cats are favoured by 11.5 down there. The win might take the Bulldogs to cover. But I tell you what, last night watching your Cats, Jeremy Cameron, mate, one of my favourite players in the last 20 years, and the big fella Neil, he looks like he's got some
Yeah.
ability.
Yeah.
So they're looking good up forward, the old Cats.
Yep. And then we head up to Sydney for the Swans hosting the Giants. I'm going with the Swans to win this one by 13. What are you thinking, sir?
Yeah, I kind of thought a little bit around that mark. They're favoured by 24.5, so I'll take the Giants to cover that. They had a good game this weekend. Stormy Daniels kicked 3 goals. I love that nickname. Cadman kicked 4. They kicked 20 goal 11. That's good kicking. So the Giants are coming back. Stringers, Oliver, the Nosebeard guys, good to see he's playing very well. So really rooting for Clayton Oliver to have a great year.
You're doing what?
Swans to
What
win,
was that? What was that word?
Giants to
Hang on. What was
cover.
that word you used? You're rooting? We don't use that word here.
Rooting, yeah.
Yeah, we don't use
That's
that word
that's your
here.
that's your Canadian.
Well,
That's
I'm
your
so,
Canadian saying.
I was told that as an American sports fan, I'm not supposed to use the word rooting when it comes to Australian sport. So I don't use that one. But
No, well, you'll find out when you go there. You'll find out when you go there what rooting means to
oh, I know what it
in
means.
Aussie.
I know what it means. That's why I was calling you out on it.
Yeah, you're right. I'll be
There you go.
barracking for.
There you go.
You got me good there. Yeah, Aussie's gonna think what's going on. Mick's gone to the other side, has he? No, I haven't.
Okay, so Gold Coast is hosting Essendon. Yeah, the Bombers got their first win. I think the Suns are going to get healthy here. I'm going with the Suns to win this one by about 3 goals. Probably going to be more than that, I would think. But good on Essendon to get a win.
Yes, they did. They shocked the Demons. I watched some of that game. Suns, pretty bad loss, 32 points to the Swans at Norwood Oval, but that's a smaller oval, so maybe the Swans and their goal kickers did well. Matty Rao, best player, second week back. It's good to see. They're favoured by 45.5. I'm with you. I guess maybe 24. So we'll take the Bombers to cover and the Suns to win that up there on the Gold Coast.
All right. And then we've got Hawthorn hosting Port Adelaide. The Hawks are looking tough. Abiyair Chol's going to be out. He did a hamstring. Um, I'm going with Hawthorn to win this one by a couple goals. So what are you thinking?
Well, if Marvio Chol had his headband wrapped around his hamstring, he might not have pulled his hamstring. Ginnivan, best player. Good to see that. He's smarting up, hasn't he, after being a little sook there for a while and falling over all the time. I kind of don't mind him now. Hawks favoured 41.5. Again, I'll take the team to cover that. The Pap Smears should get within 41, I think. Giardis, there's a couple of regular names in the Pap Smears best
Now,
players. So
let's
Hawks to win, Paps to cover.
I want to toss this out here real quickly. And when this podcast is still happening 25 or 30 years from now, um, Jack Ginnivan's going to be a premiership coach someday. I think that's
Wow,
going to
you've been
happen.
listening to something I listened to because didn't Sam Mitchell say he's
Yep.
very
Yep. He's really,
intelligent
yes,
in
he's
that
really,
way?
he's really, I think he's really grown up. I think he's matured, I think, a lot. So I'm just putting that out there. Okay.
Right.
We got
Good.
the
Good.
Adelaide Crows channeling their inner Collingwood Magpies by playing their third consecutive game at the Adelaide Oval because we don't want them to have to travel too much. uh, hosting St. Kilda. What are you thinking on this one?
I'm thinking, what the hell was Tex Walker letting his kid run out with Nick Dacos? That's what I was thinking. You kidding me? Apparently his kid loves Nick
Yeah.
Dacos and everyone thought it was great. Maybe I just hate those dob and swooping bastards so much I didn't like that. but good on him if he loves Nick Dacos. Can't blame him. He's a star.
Yeah.
I've got to eat my words again. Josh Rochelle, 4 goals, best player. Wow, I'm glad
Hmm.
of that though, but I kind of dissed him a bit last year. So
Yep. Yep.
good to see he's getting some consistency. Talk about consistently. Miller, second best. Barry, I like him. Dawson, and good to see Keys had a good game. So I'll take the Crows to win, favoured by 17.5. Or maybe again, the Saints might get within that. So I'm taking the plus, the underdog to cover on a lot of these games.
Yep. Yep. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, last year there was a Collingwood and Adelaide game, I think, where Dacos came over and said hello to Texas kids before the game. Also, I don't know if I didn't. I guess I missed it. He ran out with him. I guess I missed that
Yeah,
part
no,
of
he
it.
did.
That okay. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. That's interesting. But okay, we've got
I'll
um
probably get in trouble for what I
yeah.
said, but
Well,
hey, it's just Tex is a legend.
I know. I
Sure,
know.
his kid might like Nick Dacos, but after what happened,
Hmm.
the Dobbers, I wouldn't let my kid anywhere near that mob.
Yeah. There you go. All right, we got North Melbourne hosting Richmond, and are we say has North Melbourne officially turned the corner yet? Is this a club that we're expect
Oh,
are, to get close to level by the end of the season at least?
I don't know. The Lions kind of did what they want with him in the end. Good to
True.
see Parker. What a game Parker had again when I was
Hmm.
watching. He was marking everything.
Yep, yep. So
Uh,
they've got
they're
Richmond.
favored by 20.
I'm going with the Roos on this
They're
one.
favored by Yeah, okay, yeah, they're favored by 23 and a half, so they'll probably win and maybe cover that.
Okay.
Shitty game though.
Yeah, you know what? It's one I think I'm going to probably watch just because I like watching North Melbourne because I think that it's kind of fun seeing them at the ground floor and what I think they might be in a couple of years here. Okay, then we got Melbourne hosting the Lions at the MCG, and I'm just going to say here now, folks, um, regardless of the outcome of this game, and I'm tipping Brisbane to win by a couple of goals. Let's see if we can get more than one um, reporter at the press conference with Chris Fagan. If you need, if you need me to, send some questions in, I'll do that. Maybe I can email them into the Brisbane Lions ahead of time, but let's get another one there at least. Okay. So what are you thinking on this one? Are the D's going to bounce back a little bit and recover from what happened this past week?
Oh, maybe a little bit, but they're playing a damn good team. Your boy Cozzy Pickett, best again, eh? He's having a great year, isn't he? The
Mm-hmm.
Lions are favored by 19 and a half. I think they'll get that done by more than 19 and a half. Lockie Newell, best player. Bailey, Andrews back. So Big Draper up there. He's a bit of a character. Yeah, I think the Lions are going to start to probably win nearly every game now. Zorko did his calf. He's a good player, but
Well,
they're looking deep, aren't they? And
we
that Ashcroft kid's good too.
well that you know what if Zorko did his calf, you know what that means. That means he's going to be leading the club out through the banner next week. The way that club goes with getting people healthy with bad calves.
All right.
Yeah. And the last game of the round, you got the Eagles hosting the Dockers out at Optus. I think this is going to be somewhat competitive, but I think the Dockers are going to pull away. I think it's too strong of a club right now. But next year, I might say something different about it.
Yeah, look, they beat the Dobbers. They beat the Dob and Swooping Bastards 45 to 39. Is that one of the lowest AFL scores ever?
I think so.
Sure, it rained, but that's pathetic scoreline. 45 to 39. Wow.
Yeah.
Look, the Eagles might cover. They're 43.5 point underdog. I think over there in Perth, they'll give it a shot for a while. But no, there's still a lot of kids. Kelly played well last night. Shanahan looks good up full forward. Ginby got second best. Well, not when I watched, he didn't. I think Cameron kind of took him to task a bit. And Dersma, is that the Dersma's brother? I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it is from
Yeah, it is.
Bombers, former
It is.
Pat
Yep.
Smear player. So he got best.
Well, there's several brothers because there's also one that plays with the Eagles. Or not with the Eagles, with the
Right.
Roos, the oldest one.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So three of them are brothers, eh? Wow,
Yep.
that's
And
pretty
I think there's
cool.
also a
I like
sister.
I like
I think there's a sister that plays in the AFLW also, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
She went to Port Adelaide and then her brother got traded away a year or two later. So I do like the one that was at Port Adelaide and he had a few injuries, but he was rumored to be as good as Butters
Hmm.
and Rosie, but I think injuries cost him a bit at Port Adelaide. So good to see him doing well.
All right. So, what is your lock and what is your shock for this week? What's your one that you think is going to be the possibly could be an upset?
I think the locks would be the Dockers should win.
Hmm.
Hawks should win. The Suns, there's three, so they'll put them in a money line multi. And then add the Swans and the Crows for a five teamer at plus 213. And what was it? The shock? Who
Yeah.
might shock?
What do you think might be the big upset? Yeah,
Oh,
if
I
there
don't
is
know.
one.
It's looking pretty. I'd actually put some money on all nine teams winning outright at plus 7.68, but you very rarely get all nine.
Yeah.
Oh, look, the Saints might push the Crows at home. They're starting to come good. And the Bulldogs, if they can get a ruckman and maybe put someone in place of English, they might push the Cats.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's still going to be a competitive game. I really do. But the Cats have done this. Jez have played his first solid game of the year this past week. He looked like his old self this past week. So I mean they've really struggled there. So let's jump into your slang terms for the week here before we wrap up. Okay, we've talked about one already. We already went through the flog the cat, which was the first one. And as we'd said at the outset, give way to suppressed feelings of frustration by venting one's irritation on someone. So, and I guess it could be flog the dog or flog the bird, whatever, flog the
Yeah.
hog. Um, okay, so we got four more to go through then. How about this one? I'm going to guess you probably know this one. All froth, no beer.
Oh, froth, no beer. Well, obviously, when you get poured a pint of beer and it's all frothy on the top, but
Hmm.
I don't actually know what it refers to other than the real thing. Oh, hang on. All froth, no beer. Someone talking crap, someone talking rubbish.
Kind of, yes. Somebody who's full of themselves. Yep.
There we go. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. You got to give me that one, don't you?
I am. I'm giving you that
All
one. Yep.
right.
How about how about beyond the black stump?
Beyond the black stump is like similar to saying way out whoop whoop, like somewhere a long, long
Hmm.
way away.
Yep,
All
exactly.
right.
Yep. Okay. It's a goer. It's a goer.
It's a goer.
Uh-huh.
Basically, basically what it means as it's all go, or it could refer to a female, but we
Just
might not
not in the
mention that.
context that I'm asking. No.
It's
Uh,
a goer.
yep. Goer.
It's all
Yes.
go, like something good.
Something's definitely going to happen. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And the last one, Poets Day. Poets Day, like Poet apostrophe S. Poets Day.
Man, this is weird. This is too weird you mentioned. I have to tell you off air. Poets Day.
Uh-huh.
No, I have no idea.
Okay. It's
No
it,
idea.
it's it's considered Friday and it's an acronym. I figured after Fig Jam, it's an acronym that for piss off early, tomorrow's Saturday.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I've never heard that, but I really, really like it.
Poets Day.
You want me to give you a couple, seeing you're heading to Australia?
Yeah, let's see if I can embarrass myself even more than I usually do.
Oh no, this is a lesson for you. So I'm giving you some that are common so that you don't get confused when you're sitting in the back seat of the car. Let's head to the servo.
That's a gas
The
station.
servo.
That's a gas station. Yes. Service
Yes,
station.
service station.
Petrol
Absolutely.
station. I'm sorry, a petrol station.
What's a tinny? Two meanings for a tinny.
It's a can of beer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, absolutely. Can of beer or small aluminum boat.
Okay.
All right, here's a common one. You need to know this one because you might get confused if you're driving along with some buddies. What's the boot?
That's the trunk of the
Not your
car.
shoe.
It's the trunk of the
Not
car.
hey.
It's the trunk of the car.
How'd you know that one?
because I watch a lot of English detective stories on Acorn TV. I don't pretty much
That's
all the
awesome.
detective stuff I watch it, and they talk about things being found in the boot all the time. Oh yeah,
Awesome. All
yeah.
right, good. All right, one more. Chuckayui. What's Chuckayui?
To make a U-turn.
All right, good boy. Yeah, it's good. I'm worried about some of the basic ones,
Hey,
but you've been watching TV, so that's good.
I am I
Oh,
am
one
de
more. One more. One more, seeing you caught me out when I said, yeah, a common term here in Canada is when you're rooting for someone, which is
uh-huh.
a team, and I'd never say it because of the Australian, but I've been
Hmm.
here too long. What's a robot rooter?
A robot rooter. I mean, I know what roto rooter is. It's people that come and like clean out the pipes at your house, like plumbers.
A robot rooter is something new. It's someone that roots has sex with an AI
Oh, good
alien
Lord.
robot that are coming,
Oh
so
God.
coming into existence now. I
Oh,
actually just made that. I actually made that one up.
you made
So
that
that'll
one
be
up.
a, that'll be a sledge. That'll be a sledge in the coming years. You're just a robot rooter, same as calling someone a wanker.
Wow. Okay.
Similar.
I like that one. I like that one. Okay. So it's I don't know if I'm going to use that one again though, but I was about to say that I'm definitely, all beer no froth on that one, but then you threw that one at me there. So,
I
before
made it
we
up. Do you like it? I
no,
made it up.
yeah, it's
Serious.
not bad. Not bad. Okay, so before we get out of here today, you have had a very interesting week on social media, especially over on Facebook and on Instagram, delving into and digging into what's been going on with Cricket Canada. So tell us what's been going on because it sounds like there have been some very interesting changes happening here over the last few days.
Oh, yeah, we just talked before about proper journalism.
Uh-huh.
And I said to my boss, Philip Hicks of Edmonton Cricket TV, I said, mate, I really enjoy the investigative journalism and I get tips off and I write some reports that they have to be accurate because I don't want to get in trouble. But
Right.
yeah, basically the Cricket Canada were ordered by the Supreme Court to make changes and they have a new president, Mr. Kosar from BC, which is a great new change. Some of the others were very lucky to survive, including Gurdeep Clare, who I've known from here, and he actually called me yesterday, so I
Hmm.
had quite a long chat with him because I upset him a little bit. But hey, you got to take it. But he's
Yeah.
making changes, so he survived. So yeah, big changes. And CBC, the Fifth Estate.
Hmm.
CBC's the government-run TV. They're a bit woke and left here, so they're like the ABC in Australia. But the Fifth Estate is a hard-hitting documentary show. So they're doing a story coming this week on Cricket Canada and the corruption and everything that's been going on. So that really looking forward to that. And the host I met for quite a while, so got a little kick out of that as well.
So you broke up there for just a second there. You said you've had a chance to engage with the host?
Yeah, I messaged him, said looking forward to this show, and he
Hmm.
said that he'd been reading Edmonton Cricket TV for quite a while. So I got a kick out of
Outstanding.
that.
Outstanding. So, maybe you're going to get a according to Edmonton Cricket TV byline, if you will, during the report.
Well, I'm a salesman,
Yeah.
so obviously I replied to any views or any screenshots. Absolutely.
There you go. There you go. So, Mick, if people want to follow your work and what you have going on, where can they do that, sir?
Yeah, MyKaussie.tv and Myk Aussie on Facebook and Instagram. And of course, the Facebook Edmonton Cricket TV is getting a lot of attention.
I bet. I bet. Yeah, it's and you are, well, you may not be the person that is holding everybody accountable. You're holding some feet to the fire and helping get some recognition about this as well. And hopefully it gets it cleaned up because it's a wonderful game. And while while Canada and the United States are not the hugest platforms for cricket around the world, these are two games that are growing here in North America, and hopefully we can keep them as free from corruption as we possibly can.
Yeah, it's put over players and other officials. And I
Hmm.
said to Gertie yesterday, all I really care about is Canada having and picking the best team possible, and that hasn't happened. There's
Yeah.
been favoritism, and a lot of the trouble stems from right here in Edmonton with the officials, and then on Alberta Cricket Association. So they're the ones that have been causing a lot of the trouble. So I'm right in the heart of it and I report on it, and 95% of the players absolutely love that what we do because they've been scared in the past. They've been
Yeah.
scared because they get penalised if they talk up against these guys, which is just disgraceful. So
Well,
one more guy to go. We got to get out, and we're nearly done.
yeah. Well, and we've seen that happen with some other sports, around here that are near and dear to both of us. We've talked a little bit about off air about those kinds of things in the past. Um, that it just still have not sat right with me for the last 4 years with regards to the footy here in the United States. There's some things that just still really
Yeah,
frustrate me with some of the stuff that's going on with that. Just some of the
yeah,
hypocrisy from some comments that were made that, yeah, yep. Well, hey, Myk, I hope you have a fantastic week. This has been a lot of fun. And I think we tipped everything the same this week. So
yeah. We did. You're gonna go one ahead for another week.
there you
All
go.
right, I'll leave you on this note. I'll leave you on
Okay.
this note. If anyone's looking for a job, there's a job in Geelong. Hairdresser. Send a hairdresser to Geelong. There's 5 guys need a haircut. See you later, mate.
All right. All right, Myk. All right, Myk, thanks for sitting down to chat today. A lot of laughs again, as usual. We did agree on all 9 games in round 6, so I will be in the lead again for at least another week. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in getting your local footy club getting a shout out during an upcoming episode, drop me a note via email at ayankonthefooty@gmail.com or on one of my socials. You can find all of those on my website, ayankonthefooty.com. Also, if you've got an interesting story to tell about the game of football, maybe you have somebody who'd be a great guest, or maybe you have had a wonderful experience. I would love to share your stories. Also, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to help out the podcast, a review would be fantastic. You can do that on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can also do that right on my website, ayankonthefooty.com. And while you're there, I do hope you'll get on the mailing list. I hope you'll subscribe on YouTube as well. And if you want to help out the podcast, you can always click on that Buy Me a Coffee button as well. And that would be a huge help, as I'm going to be heading to Australia here in, I believe, less than 100 days now, and I am beyond stoked. All right, folks. Um, if you got a funny question that you want Myk and I to address, or a serious question you'd like us to address, drop me that email at ayankonthefooty@gmail.com, or you can again leave me a note or a message over on my website. If you're a North American fan who's listening, we'd love to get your thoughts as well. And folks, check up on your friends, make sure they're okay. If you need to talk to somebody, please don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, get out and get that coffee with them. Go grab that snag. Go take a walk with them. Don't be afraid to reach out and talk to somebody. The world is a much better place with you in it, and look out for everybody and check up on those folks. And don't hesitate to talk if you need to. And as always, I appreciate the kind words and the support. And may your dribble kick never hit the post. I will catch you later. This is Craig Wessels from Yank on the Footy, and this has been episode 455. And hopefully you'll share this with your friends and family. And until next time, cheers and goodbye.